Hello, I'm Mikey Edwards, and this is my social issue presentation. To introduce the topic I'll be focusing on today, it's failing relationships and marriages, a current and glaring social issue. As a brief overview of the social issue and what we'll be covering today, all of us are aware that the divorce rate has never been higher than it is now. And that's not just a Western country problem, that is an international problem. And when you look at divorce rates, it's bad enough. But when you look at relationships in general, it gets even worse. Many people are having more social anxiety about going into relationships, and many relationships are never forming and never even getting close to becoming a marriage. And so today, through the three communication lenses of social systems, rhetoric, culture, and public advocacy, and media and society, we'll be taking a deeper look at this issue and seeing how this current social issue is actually a communication issue that can be helped by focusing on it through these communication lenses. To start with the first lens, social systems. Social systems are a lot like this baseball diamond in the first picture. They are these complex networks of relationships that we have and create through interpersonal communication and even regular everyday communication. For example, in my social system, the people who I'm closest with could be my family, my spouse, and then further away in this network of people who aren't as close to me, you'd maybe see my work colleagues or my uh, just acquaintances that I have. And a social system is so important to a relationship because when you are in a romantic relationship with someone, they become much closer in your social system because you're communicating with them more often and more deeply. However, baseball would be a very poor game if it only had first base and home base. That would be a lot different. It'd throw off the whole rhythm of the game. And similarly, social systems are so important to maintain in a wide sense after a relationship is formed. Some relationships can be toxic where one partner wants to take the other partner away from all their other friends and family. And when that happens, they can have feelings of isolation, as demonstrated in this final picture. And that's why it's so important that people are careful when going into a relationship in the first place, because social systems determine who we are going to end up with. Many people end up in a relationship with someone they met at work because they're with them all the time, they're communicating all the time, and they grow closer through that communication. However, someone might be more focused on fun than a serious communication, and so it's important to be cautious, as demonstrated in this middle picture. And because of that, a lot of people might think, oh, this person's really attractive. I'd love to be in a relationship with them. And they jump feet first, move in together within the first week, only to realize that they should have been a lot more careful and they didn't really know this person because they weren't very close to them and they didn't have a lot of interpersonal communication. So, having a wide and varied social system is so important to be a part of because through these communities that we're in, we're able to meet new people and still have help and connections because any good relationship still needs friends and family for advice and occasional venting. The next section is rhetoric, culture, and public advocacy. This first picture is one that I actually really love. It's my wife's grandparents when they were married in Japan. And something unique about their marriage was that it was an arranged marriage. They didn't know each other until a couple days before they were married. And even though it worked out for them, many cultures have customs that can have a serious effect on relationships. For example, many people wouldn't be compatible if they were to be married, but because a family has monetary or bloodline goals, that they force someone to be in a relationship, and that can have a serious impact. And because of cultural things like that, uh, many relationships end up having rocky stages where there's not a lot of true affection. So it's important that we note, especially, for example, I'm in a multicultural relationship, that you change your communication style to make sure that you're still open and understanding of that culture because there's so many ideas that can be different between cultures, and different ideas can create hiccups in communication, and that leads to rhetoric, or the art of persuasive communication. Any good relationship is going to have arguments and disagreements. And many people waste their energy because they're so focused on being right. And I use that picture of all those energy drinks in a garbage can. That was on a military base, and I was shocked. Someone must have been so exhausted on that installation because that garbage can was pretty much just full of energy drinks. But when you have disagreements in a relationship, people often make their communication simply focused on winning an argument, like that attack plane in the picture. It has one goal: to destroy and to win at any cost. And someone might not prioritize an amazing relationship because they're choosing to prioritize winning an argument or being right. And even if you think you're right, there's two sides to everything, as demonstrated in that cool Darth Vader Yoda mirror cube that I have. But there's two sides to everything. So even if you know for a fact that you're right in arguments in your relationship, it's important to change your communication style so you can get to the root of the problem. Just as you can see in the right picture, there's many different mouthpieces for many different instruments, and all those different instruments make different kinds and styles of music. And it's so important these days that couples and people that are in romantic relationships learn to change their communication style that will be most effective to their partner. Because sometimes two people are on attack plane mode, and those relationships can be ruined even if they had great potential. And so, changing your rhetoric to help strengthen your relationship and overcome disagreements is so important. And that's heavily tied in with culture and some of the disagreements that can happen there. And finally, public advocacy is a way that we can combat this. We can speak out against these issues and make it more common knowledge for people to realize that marriages and relationships are either hard or impossible. You have to choose which one. However, you can always overcome those problems in communication and those disagreements through thoughtful rhetoric, respecting culture, and after you're able to find those successes for yourself, sharing it with others through public advocacy. And the final section is media and society. Mass media has a massive effect on how society perceives the world. And in turn, what society loves to consume has a massive impact on what the media likes to produce and the message that the media likes to share. When marriages were a lot more successful, there was movies like It's a Wonderful Life that would show two loving parents who cared about their family and put themselves last and were able to put their significant other first, and just strong examples of strong relationships. Excuse me. Now, when you look at love stories and love shows, you're going to see stuff like Too Hot to Handle, Perfect Match, The Ultimatum, and these shows focus on pretty much 2 week experiments where people will get together and date, and it's pretty much all about having the most fun or dating the hottest person. And I think that that's not a healthy way to view relationships. And even though I'll admit those shows can be pretty fun to watch because, it's like a train wreck, this shows society and maybe a lot of the younger generation that it's more important to focus on physical aspects or having fun than being in a serious committed relationship, as media used to show. And in turn, this creates things in society that can be serious problems, like discrepancies between genders or race, as shown in that picture with the large figure and the small figure. When media chooses to, for example, objectify women, that can hurt their image in relationships and cause people to have toxic masculinity in a relationship because they believe that women shouldn't have the same rights that they do in a relationship. And this, of course, can lead to divorce, disillusion, conflict, and even worse. So hopefully society will be able to start consuming more content that shows strong examples of good relationships, and the media can start stepping away from the fun, flashy, sexy relationships that they want to show everyone and go back to their roots, showing more solid relationships and committed relationships, because I think that would have a positive effect. In conclusion, with these communication lenses, we're able to finally diagnose the issues that are happening in a relationship. Instead of thinking, oh, the relationship's failing, they're always arguing, that's the problem. No, that's the symptom. The problem is breaks in communication. People aren't respecting each other's culture. People aren't using the proper communication styles when talking to each other. And when we look at it through these lenses, we can diagnose the problem and treat it. Just as you need a specific medication for a specific sickness, these communication lenses allow us to fix specific communication problems with specific solutions. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you have a fantastic day.